Welcome to the Growth Minded Accountant podcast, where our experts will share best practices on running your firm in the digital age. This podcast is brought to you by CountingWorks Pro. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Growth Minded Accountant, where we're unraveling the concept of human in the loop, often called HITL, and its transformative impact on the tax and accounting industry. I'm Rebekah Barton, the Chief Visibility Officer at CountingWorks and our sister company, taxbuzz.com. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by our founder and CEO, Lee Reams II. Lee, please say hello to our audience.
Yeah, happy to be here today. I posted about this topic, kind of human in the loop, and we'll define what that means on LinkedIn a week or so ago, and I got a lot of great feedback for people kind of understanding, perhaps what the role of professional advisors is with AI and how it's a tool to help you. So I think this is going to be a great discussion.
So at its core, HITL is a framework that integrates both human intelligence and decision-making into automated processes like AI systems. But why is this blend of human and machine collaboration so critical, especially in fields like ours that are steeped in data, regulations, compliance issues, and all of those types of things?
Well, I think the biggest issue is understanding if we can take the power of what artificial intelligence is, so meaning the ability to read huge amounts of data very quickly and to be able to organize it in a way that it can be analyzed, I think is just a huge advantage. And I think a lot of times what people are thinking, they're all afraid of AI, but they're not understanding, well, wait a second, that's a tool for me to now bring in my reasoning, my ethical judgment of things, my ability as a human to analyze things. And I think that, quite honestly, is unmatched today. So the human brain can't do that as of now. You can get software products that are programmed for specific usage or use cases, for example, but they are just controlled by what that software can do. And with artificial intelligence, when you're using natural language to ask questions, to answer prompts, I think when you combine that with the AI's ability to analyze data at speeds that humans never can, I think that's going to be a huge benefit. And I think, having the human to come in, when we say human in the loop, so you ask AI some questions, maybe you're using it as an agent to analyze some data, it's going to give you the analytic data back. But what does it mean? How do I use that? If it gives recommendations for a client, what recommendation might be the best? If it flags something, let's say you're asking it to review your clients to see which clients might be at most risk for an IRS audit. So, that's where an agent, an AI agent can be created that can analyze the data that you have loaded into your CRM, your tax software, whatever, your client hub, and basically come back and flag clients based on, the IRS matching, income changes. I can go on and on of all the different variables, but the AI agent could be looking proactively. But when you get that data back, it might just be that someone made more money because they sold a business last year and they're not really there to be flagged. But it might be some things that clients are doing that you might want to talk to them about and say, hey, if you continue with these imbalances and certain numbers on your tax return, there's a good chance you're going to be audited, and perhaps we look at that. So that's kind of the idea of a human in the loop, where the AI can flag something, but what do you do with it? And that's why humans are so beneficial.
We are. So it's basically about just leveraging the best of both worlds, of both the AI and the human mind, because neither are really replaceable. So can you give us a little more insight into how that works in practice, specifically in the tax and accounting space?
Right. So I think the one I just gave is a good one, but let's give another example. Financial transactions, or just a ton of financial data. AI can go through it and find what I'll call what deviates from the norm, right? What could be like a percentage that is way off. So, is that maybe finding an error in your spreadsheet, for example? Or is there something that's seriously wrong that should be flagged and indicates, there might be some fraud here? So, that's issue one. So if AI is just doing this on autopilot and there's not a human in the loop per se, and the AI just says, okay, this is flagged, there's fraud here, that might not be the entire answer, right? So the idea here is that a human can review these flagged transactions. So again, they're applying your experience, your expertise to analyze data that your brain would not have been able to analyze, that AI was able to do it. And then with your background, your client's background, you can kind of the nature of their business, you can basically say, hey, make a judgment call. Is this accurate? Is there really an issue here? Is there potential fraud? And if so, let's go ahead and look at that. But that would be another good example. Another way human in the loop would work is tax harvesting, for example. We have a tool that's in development right now. It's in a kind of an alpha stage, but we are hooking up with clients' custodian accounts. And now we have real-time data of where their investments are. And if you're working with a client doing proactive tax planning, we have found, and MIT did a study on this, which was quite interesting, that if you are proactive in harvesting gains and losses, that the MIT study has said it was a 1.1% delta, basically an alpha, as we'll call it. So a higher return by being proactive than doing kind of year-end tax harvesting. So how does the human in the loop and how does this kind of work with, large data? It would be almost impossible for a human to sit there. Software has been designed to do it, but it's expensive to manage. But AI can actually pull all this data in, come in proactively and say, okay, based on where you see the market's going, here are some recommendations. Here's some stocks that you should sell today. Here's some losses that perhaps aren't going to recover. It can look at long-term taxes, short-term, wash sales, all that kind of stuff. And that is a tool that enables the human to do some really good analysis and offer some strategies that they couldn't today.
Perfect. Yeah. So HITL is basically enhancing efficiency for the professional, but it's also giving that personalized oversight that clients definitely appreciate and need in order to optimize all of their finances. So let's dive into some common use cases of HITL. So we've touched on the concept, we've given a few use cases, but let's think about maybe some ways where integration of human expertise and AI can make a big difference in operations or in how tax professionals are operating on a day-to-day basis.
Right. So I'm going to give the most simplistic way. Think of, so we have a client hub in CountingWorks Pro. We have what we call our client hub, and that is where clients securely chat and share documents with you. There's workflow and all kinds of fun intake forms, things like that. But now think of that as a tool to train the AI. So gather some information about your clients, maybe their preferences, what kind of assets they own, what are their goals, how old are they, what are their retirement plans, those kind of things. So we can have some preferences that we can now use to help feed the AI when it's looking at some other things like their documents. So for example, in Client Hub, we have the ability to summarize the client uploads. That now then could be categorized, saving you as a pro. Let's say a client gives you 15 uploads and 10 of them are pictures from their iPhone. Right now, what is it? I got to look at it. I have to rekey it. AI now can scan that, summarize it, put the data there that you use it for other applications, right? So that's a way that it can help you save time. Another way, and then from there, the human is organizing. Okay, now I know here's all the data. AI has basically saved me 15 to 30 minutes. Now I can take it and start doing it, if it's an engagement, whatever you're doing. So another way is just organizing different transactions in accounting, reconciliation. If there's thousands of things flowing through a company's book, AI can categorize them based on their learned patterns. But a lot of times it's the human in the loop who ensures that these categorizations align with the different laws and accounting standards, because a lot of times the AI can't grasp that. So make sure things aren't classed incorrectly. So there's two use cases that are real quick. I think those are both valuable and save accounting and bookkeeping pros a lot of time.
Definitely. Yeah, very, very powerful. So we've talked a little bit already about how it can flag audits, how it can flag things for fraud, different situations like that. But let's talk a little bit about tax planning and compliance. That's another big area where AI can step in and make some big strides. So why don't we talk a little bit about that?
So I'm going to give two use cases there. One is there's a big move from tax prep to tax planning, right? So how can I use artificial intelligence to help me sell that? And one of the ways is you can literally do personalized proposals per client based on their financial data. So you could feed AI some of the data, age, income levels, are they married, filing status, what assets they own, what are their goals, things like that. And what we've seen is one use case is literally the AI will create a proposal that says, hey, Lee, I've just been analyzing your situation. If you didn't know this, I have a tax planning strategy sessions that I offer quarterly. It costs this much per month. And some of the ideas and some of the tax minimization strategies are the following. And the AI will personalize that and kind of highlight it at a high level, outline it at a high level. These are some of the different options that you can use. And then be able to send out a personalized upsell document. I mean, what's the beauty of it? Now they hire you. I can then take all this same data. I can now start analyzing it and having AI come up with, following these same preferences of that client, actually develop a full-on tax planning strategy document that you can then share with your clients. And from there, really build out a tax planning practice, and it's starting points. But the good news is like tools like AI Copilot that we have, we're trained in the tax code. We've loaded hundreds and hundreds of different tax strategies. So it knows what it's looking for and could give all sorts of different options based on, is if someone high net worth client, do they own a small business? Are they a gig worker? Are they a commercial real estate broker? These are all nuanced kind of backgrounds, and it helps us really develop what I call very customized tax plans. But the loop item here, the human in the loop, is, think of AI now as your personal assistant, but at scale that you never could have before. So how hard is it for you to offer these same type of services with your existing team? It's difficult. There's just so many hours in the day. So the whole idea here, the human in the loop, is we're going to feed AI all this data. It's going to analyze it and look at patterns. It's going to look at, the most popular strategies, and then come up with a really good game plan that you can then start working with your client directly with. So you can present to your client, but you can also fine tune it. You can ask it, well, you know what, you kind of missed the mark here. Can you expand on this strategy? And those are the ways that humans using AI can get a lot more out of it.
Love it. I was doing some research earlier today that said that the average tax and accounting professional can save 20 to 25 hours a week using AI. So you're basically getting a whole extra day, which is amazing. So next, let's kind of move into how AI and HITL can interact with client interaction and support. So I think that's an area where maybe some people are afraid of losing the human touch. So let's talk a little bit about HITL in that regard.
So you're talking about customer service, like communicating with clients?
Yeah, exactly. Like complex situations and building client relationships, because I think that's somewhere that, professionals don't want to lose that interaction, and they're afraid of AI maybe taking over too much.
Everyone's afraid of something. So I'm going to go to the basic level. Just pretend that you have an AI tool that, again, knows the tax code. So not a generic tax spot. But let's just think of communicating with your clients in like a chat format. So our client hub has a Slack-like texting back and forth. And if you can now get an inbound client question that has some technical questions involved in it, and click a button that says, reply to this client answering their questions. And if it can now do that in an instant, and what used to be, I have to now drop everything. I probably would ignore that message. I would then have to research that issue, whatever the questions are asking. Now I can get an instant response and hit reply. It comes up with an eloquently written tax researched response, and writes it in a format that sounds exactly like you and sends it back to the client. You can maybe fine tune it here or there, personalize it, but that's like as quick of a ROI as I could ever see. So that would be my first thought would be right there.
Perfect. So I think we've really highlighted kind of the value of HITL, why it matters in the tax and accounting space, that it's not just about automation, but it's about allowing you as a tax professional to serve your clients better, right? It's not about letting AI take over or letting AI do anything of that nature. It's about helping you focus on what you do best, which is providing that expert advice and those insights that nobody but you can offer. So we've now talked about the mechanics and some applications of HITL. So let's focus on the client perspective for a minute, Lee. How do you think the integration of human expertise and AI technology translates to better service for all taxpayers?
Well, I think the whole goal of every relationship is to deliver a better financial outcome to your client, right? And I'm not putting anyone down, but I think there are mistakes made during busy season. People are overworked and often they may overlook something. I think artificial intelligence at its main benefit, it's probably going to catch a lot of those. It's going to enhance your accuracy and basically make you more reliable. I think it's going to make you more responsive to your clients. One of the biggest things we see in client reviews, one-star client reviews or negative client reviews are, you know what, I love so-and-so, but they never respond. I have to bug them over and over again. And then they're upset because I'm bugging them. The reality is, yeah, they know you're busy, but that's not their issue, right? So I think artificial intelligence in a lot of ways is really going to help you as a small to medium-sized practitioner serve your clients in a much better way. I know a lot of people, been offshoring labor, there's shortages, partners, younger partners leaving. I think artificial intelligence will help stop that as well. And I think you're going to be able to have smaller teams and get more done. And I keep going back to this idea of think of the whole idea of AI as an agent. And that's a technical term that's in the vertical, the industry in AI, they call these agents. But that is where you're able to use the technology of the underlying, ChatGPT type technology, but basically build these special use cases. And it can be doing this work as your assistant. That idea of flagging my clients who are IRS audit, flagging my clients who just had children and they should be looking at setting up custodial accounts and 529 plans for their children. So those are kind of things that are proactive. And I think they're just huge benefits for you. You got to remember that AI is here to empower you as a human. And to get the best out of it is this whole idea of, yes, the human in the loop, analyze what the AI is recommending, analyze this data that it's looked at, and then put your own stamp on it.
Absolutely. So what do you think about the speed and efficiency of interactions now that AI has kind of come into the picture and how that's going to affect the client experience when they work with their tax professional?
I think a lot of accountants will have more time for the golf course. I think you might want to slow down some of your response time. I think you're going to be superhuman. I think you're going to be able to do so much more. You got to pick your tech stack very carefully. I think you're going to significantly shorten your turnaround times. But I don't think it's just being fast. Let's say just for example, a tax research question, that you may have had been on a Facebook board and you posted it there and you get a bunch of feedback from other humans and different points of view. Can you imagine getting that answer in minutes or moments, seconds? And then being able to say, is it accurate or not based on my education? Can I use that? So I think you're able to use speed plus accuracy that you currently don't have.
Perfect. I love that. And so clients, again, they're really getting the best of both worlds. They're getting the best of what AI has to offer, all the benefits of speed, of accuracy, of data processing, but they're also still getting the human touch and that knowledge that only a professional who's been trained in the tax code, been trained in accounting can offer. So how do you think this is going to impact the range of services that tax firms and accounting firms are able to offer to their clients now that they have essentially a brand new superhuman tax assistant?
I'll give it one example. So I think family office solutions are an area that's opening up to accounting firms. And I'll go back to my tax harvesting example. One of the problems with wealth managers making decisions in their own silo without communicating with an accountant. A perfect example is, let's say someone is selling a house at a huge capital gain, or they're selling a home and then the wealth manager is trading stocks in their own little silo, trying to, give you the best return possible. But maybe you have a big loss that you could harvest that offsets something in another area that they're unaware of. So I think that, like the tool that we're doing in tax harvesting, we're going to help the wealth manager and the CPA collaborate together. So we're going to let AI come up with the recommendations. We've set up the tool that it will share data. Obviously, you need a client to sign off on this. But it opens up a whole different world of areas that you normally may not have played in. And it opens you up to being a little more valuable to your client. I mean, again, you're the most trusted advisor for a reason. People trust you. They don't necessarily trust some of these other vendors. And if you're now able to perhaps collaborate more and kind of be that gatekeeper, and watch that others work, I think that's a big value add.
I love that too. And I think that's also very compelling because I think it also speaks once again to how HITL can impact the client experience positively in terms of communication, of interaction, and also communication between their trusted advisors. Like you were just noting, that right now we can use AI to sort of build these systems that advisors can both look at and maybe catch things that never would have been noticed before. And it's going to just make everything even better. So really, at the end of the day, HITL is not going to just enhance the technical aspects of tax and accounting, the actual preparation and the tax planning components, but it's really going to enrich the client-professional relationship over time and hopefully help build even more loyalty and trust than already exists in this industry.
Yes, I agree. And I think it's going to free you up. I gave the golf course analogy, but you're going to have more bandwidth, and you're going to have more bandwidth to do what I think you should be doing, which is providing proactive advice versus a lot of the manual tasks, analyzing the data, tracking the data, onboarding clients, to-do lists, chasing documents that are missing. Let the technology do that. And I think then you're going to be able to you're going to know your client a lot better. And instead of, again, spending your time on what I'll call manual tasks or processes that are very inefficient, you're going to be able to give a lot more high-level advice and really because no matter what, people are not, just because AI is out there and I can get answers, it doesn't mean I necessarily know what they mean. I don't necessarily know what that strategy is all about. It's really helpful, for everybody to have that human looking at it and giving their advice.
Definitely. So in implementing human in the loop in your tax and accounting practice, you're going to have human oversight over automated processes to help enhance your efficiency and your client service. We've really established that up to this point. But a crucial part of the implementation is using technology platforms that actually support HITL workflows. That includes Client Hub, which is CountingWorks Pro's system. So this can organize, summarize client data. We've already talked a little bit about that. But Lee, can you tell us a little bit about how our pros can actually get started in this field? Because I think sometimes taking the first step is the hardest part.
Yeah, I think people, especially in our vertical, are, I'm going to do it the same way I did it last year. They're risk adverse. If it ain't broken, don't fix it kind of thing. I think the reality is, though, those professionals who are more adept to change and using technology are going to run circles around you if you don't start analyzing your own processes. So, my point of view is what I would do first is I'd step back and just say, okay, let's look at all of our client processes. What can we do more efficiently? What can we have AI and automation do? And then supported by our human oversight. I think that would be a very good place to start. So what is that? That's data entry tools, categorization of documents, creating like previews of tax plans, things like that, where you can outline, and you can actually go in and ask AI, say, hey, explain your practice. I am a 3 to 5 member enrolled agent firm. We do primarily tax preparation for high net worth individuals, lots of lawyers and doctors. We want to create processes for our client onboarding. So how can we digitize? How can we use AI to assist us and save time and make it easier for both the client and our firm? So that's a perfect example. So start with your processes. And then from there, obviously, you got to figure out what is the right technology. I would not use any generic tools. So if I had a CRM tool that is a generic tool that doesn't know the tax code, they all have AI tools now. Well, that's great. If it doesn't know the tax code, it's garbage in, garbage out. So that is a huge deal. So you need to find tools that are trained in your vertical. In our vertical, you have accounting rules, financial rules, tax rules, you have regulations. They're updating, all the time. Tax court cases come out. So the more up to date the base or the knowledge base that you're using, the better the output. So, in any of the leading ones, GPT 4.0 just came out. I think it's trained through October 2023, but it's not, again, where there's tax people putting in the data to train it. So tools like ours at AI Copilot, we're actually training it in real time. We train it every day. We're giving feedback from humans. We even have the ability for someone to, if they use our AI tool, just ask a question to say, hey, I want a human to look at this. That is really big deal. So make sure you choose the right technology to use. But more importantly, the biggest issue I've seen is training your team. Luckily for us, we built this insane tool, and we had a ton of usage through tax season. But what I noticed is kind of the elementary type of questions that were being asked. So the people that were using it did not necessarily understand how to write a prompt, how to successfully communicate with the artificial intelligence. I think that made a big blocker for a lot of people to get the most out of it. So train your team, teach them how to use AI, teach them what it is, teach them how to use prompts, teach them how to be more efficient in their daily world. Implement it in phases. It's definitely something that you want to feel that you trust it. Just don't go all in and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then from there, you monitor and adjust, see what's working, what's not working. And make sure that you're using these technologies to help you in your communication with your clients. So, can your tools do a to-do list, right? Can it chase missing documents, things like that? Anything that can increase accuracy, scanning documents that are uploaded, making things faster. I think those are things that I would like to kind of look at, and then stay adept. So listen to the Growth Minded Accountant, All In podcast. There's all kinds of amazing tech people that are really kind of pushing how artificial intelligence is going. And then again, I believe you'll start seeing it, people that are using agents or developing agents. So those are tools that can analyze data that you already have to give out suggested outputs or suggested strategies. I think those are going to be really big winners as we go forward.
I think so too. So, Leah, tell us a little bit more about what you think the future is going to bring in regard to HITL in tax and accounting, because it's obviously a huge talking point. It's a hot button issue. AI has kind of changed the world in a very, very short time. So we're here now.
Yeah, I think, so I said agents. I think that the development of agents, and when I say agents, think of like literally cloning yourself and getting AI to start thinking like you, and to also personalize the way it analyzes data. So as an example here is, let's say you have a client that we have an intake form that we ask certain questions that really give us a personal look at what that client's all about. Ideally, that agent that you set up will be able to input that data anytime it's analyzing any questions about that specific client. More importantly than you as the professional, we want to have your preferences. What is your writing style? What are the ways you feel about tax planning? Are you aggressive? Not, all that kind of stuff. So what you can do is you can start really personalizing the experience, and then the feedbacks that come back. Then when you combine that with data mining, all your client documents and income statements and all this information, if it is secure, meaning it's your client's eyes only, your eyes, this data is not out there in the public. It's not other clients' data isn't feeding the model. That's hugely important. But I think that's going to be a big game changer in making your life so much easier. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, I can imagine because we're developing it. But can you imagine coming in the morning, looking at a dashboard, and it says, hey, Lee, look at these 10 clients for this opportunity. These 7 clients have this opportunity. You can decide as a human in the loop whether you want to take advantage of them, if you want to communicate. Maybe you have some templates set up that say, hey, proactively, I think you might be able to do X planning strategy, do that. I think those are game changers. And what this does is I think it starts increasing your role as an advisor. So more advisory services. Again, we talked about this. I think it also enables you to expand into other markets. I think there's a reason all these private equities are buying a lot of these CPA firms. I think they're seeing the future and kind of where it's going. I don't know when regulations will catch up, what an accountant can and cannot do. Do you need this type of license? Do you partner with other financial advisors, ownership of CPA firms, things like that. So there's a lot of different ways that I think AI is going to go. And, you'll hear the leaders, the guys that are actually putting together this technology, the word reasoning, and not just analyzing the data in natural language, but actually starting to reason. And, the example is, hey, I'm a human, I'm walking the street, the light turns green, it says walk, But I, as a human, I'm reasoning, did someone run the red light? Is there a dog? Is there an animal? And that makes the brain, the human, way above where AI is today. But at some point, we think a lot of this reasoning is gonna get in there. So it's extremely exciting time for our profession. I think you guys are burnt out, you're overworked, and artificial intelligence is really going to help you be so much more efficient, have much better work-life balance. And more importantly, I think you're going to be able to make more money, and your clients are going to have better outcomes. So it's a kind of a win-win.
Definitely. Definitely. So it's clear that human in the loop isn't a buzzword. It's not just something that we're talking about today that's going to go away. It's here to stay. And it's really a pathway to more accurate, efficient, personalized service in the tax and accounting field. So we're encouraging all of you to explore how this can benefit you, benefit your practice, benefit your clients. We really believe in this here at CountingWorks, and we want you to get on board too. This structure really provides a comprehensive overview of HITL. So we're just very excited to be sharing this with you today. Lee, do you have any closing thoughts on HITL in tax and accounting and what people can kind of expect moving forward?
I just think of collaboration is the word. So how can humans, professional advisors, collaborate with machines and AI to drive a better advice for their clients? I think that a lot of people are uncertain which technologies to use, how to use it, how to trust it. So definitely be wary. Slow. We said start slow, but start upskilling yourself. Learning. That this isn't Google. That you ask questions in a certain way, and I'm just talking chatbots. I'm not getting into the agent stuff. But once you master that, you'll start seeing other applications. So really exciting. If you are interested in at least exploring our AI Copilot tool, or how we're integrating AI into a practice management, our marketing automation platform at CountingWorksPro.com, visit that site. Or for just the AI Copilot, which is our version of a chatbot that is trained on the tax code and up to date, go to taxbuzz.com. I hope you found some value and understand a little bit more. Again, this is a collaboration tool, an assistant, and really will be beneficial for you. So hopefully we'll see you again on the next edition of the Growth Minded Accountant. And that is all about human in the loop. Thank you.